Welcome to HSQ4's 3-year performance review. Through this review, we want to help you better understand how the risk management strategy works and how it protects your wealth. Thank you for your continued support these past few years, and we wish you a prosperous year in 2023. I'm Sophia, and I'm very excited to share that HSQ4 is currently being used in Hong Kong, where it has grown from scratch to over 25 million US dollars under management now. There are 4 parts to this year's performance review. First, I'll show you how well HSQ4 did compared to the market. Next, I'll talk about the fact that our backtest synchronizes with the practice results. Third, I'll guide you to examine the short-term risks of the model. Lastly, I'll shed some light on the next version, HSQ5, as we will be using this model in our new hedge fund. Now let's kick things off with part 1, which is about how HSQ4 did compared to the market. This is Interactive Broker Hong Kong Limited's standard report. It shows the 3-year performance of one of my uncles, Mr. Chan. And he is one of the first clients of this program from January 2nd, 2020 to December 30th, 2022. In the past 3 years, the cumulative return has reached 219.44%. The beginning net asset value, or amount the first client invested, was $2 million. And over time, he took out $1 million, but we still had an ending NAV of $4 million. That's a 200% gain over 3 years, indicating a profit of $3 million. If he did not withdraw, he would have ended up with $6 million. Those are some excellent numbers, but that is not all. If you look at the graph on the left, where HSQ4 is the blue line and S&P 500 is the green line, you'll see that HSQ4 consistently has an upward trend, despite COVID, the war in Ukraine in the past 3 years, whereas sometimes S&P 500 stagnates. Now let's dive into the details. See how our model did compared to a popular index, the S&P 500, during the past 3 years. Overall, their 3-year return was less than 19% compared to HSQ4's 219%. Breaking down those 3 years into individual years, we get the annualized return, which was 5.92% for S&P 500 versus 47% for HSQ4. As you know, these past 3 years were tough, with COVID, the war in Ukraine, unstable global political landscapes, and yes, our biggest drop was only negative 12%. Which happened in September of 2021. In comparison, S&P 500 dropped a mighty negative 33% in February of 2020. As you know, investing can be risky, and we measure that using the Sharpe ratio, which shows the amount of risk we took relative to the return. For context, the higher the number, the better. By the end of 2022, the S&P 500's 3-year Sharp is 0.34 and our Sharp was 1.37, meaning our return was 37% higher than the volatility, and S&P 500 return was only a third of its volatility. By these metrics, it shows that our risk management strategy is consistently beating the market. But wouldn't you want to know about what happens behind the scenes? Let me introduce you to the backtest, which is where we apply our HSQ4 trading system to historical market data from 1999 to 2019 to verify how our system would have performed. Here are the backtest versus actual results. Generally, the backtest already gave pretty decent results, from annual return to a very low max annual loss. However, the practice results are even better, much higher than the backtested 32%. Standard deviation is nearly the same. The Sharpe ratio is higher. And there was never a negative year. So these numbers prove that our system works in the past 24 years, and the numbers synchronize with each other. When you combine the backtest with the practice portfolio and compare it against the S&P 500, you can see how much better it did from 1999. If you invested $10K with S&P 500 at the start of 1999, you would only have $75K today. If we started doing business in 1999 and you invested $10K using this program, you would have at least $7.5 million. That's a 750-fold profit versus only 7.5-fold profit if you invested with S&P 500. Most importantly, when times are bad, for example, the internet bubble in the 2000s or financial crisis in 2008, our risk management strategies work perfectly. Too bad we didn't start the company in 1999. Now that we finished looking at the long run, let's look at the short run by browsing a 36-month rolling return graph. This is a 36-month rolling returns graph for the past 20 years. Each bar indicates the return 3 years back from that point. For example, this line represents November 2019 to November 2022, and this line represents January 2002 to January 2005. From this graph, you can see that the worst return was the red section here, with 49%. The average return is this black line here, 154%, and the best return was this blue line here, 530%. In the past 20 years, we have never had a negative return, indicating very low short-term risk compared to the market. So in conclusion, from any point in time, if you give this model around 3 years, it's highly likely it could produce a positive return for you, although past returns are not indicative of future results. But what can produce a better result than HSQ4? HSQ5. HSQ4 is pretty good, but we have an even better version, HSQ5. Its back-tested return is 42% from 1999 to 2022, compared to HSQ4's 34%. It has a better Sharpe as well, 1.84 compared to HSQ4's 1.3, which means a much more enhanced investment efficiency. We will use this model in the future hedge fund that we are currently setting up, and we will update you on the progress from time to time. Thank you for listening to this performance review, and have a happy new year.